Let's bring in Reggie Miller, the Hall of Famer. He's out of the bubble, back in L.A., but back in Orlando on Saturday to call second-round playoff action. Where do you want to start? What games from last night or yesterday?
Let me start with the Clippers because, and I've said this on this show many a times, I personally believe they're the favorite to come out of the West and win a championship. But something is concerning me about them. Every time I'm on here, I say they have the two best wing defenders in the game, arguably, in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, and rightfully so. At any given night, they can shut you down, and you're going to have to win 4 games. For the Clippers, their defense isn't where I would like for it to be. Again, it's only one playoff game, but I like to look at patterns. And, even though it was, 8 scrimmage games and 8 seeding games and 3 scrimmages, their defense, now again, they haven't been whole. Last night was the first time they were whole with Montrezl Harrell actually being in the lineup. But their defense is kind of concerning to me. Luka had a big night last night. Harden had his way with him during the seeding games. Devin Booker, if you remember, hit the game winner over Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Their defense isn't where I want it to be. I'm still picking them, and I know they can turn it on when they want. But I just don't think their defense is as good as it should be when you look at all the players that are on this team. It could be much better.
And they could have easily lost that game if Porzingis doesn't get tossed, and he can't allow himself to get into that situation. He knows what Morris's role is, and he fell for that. I was shocked that Morris wasn't teed up or wasn't thrown out because he initiated this. He grabs Luka and spins him around, and that's when Luka, like, what are you doing here? And then Porzingis came in. Porzingis blocks the shot, and then he waves his fist in the air, and then he shouldn't have been tossed from that game, Reg.
Agree with you 100%. I will say this. For the league, terrible call. Terrible judgment by the 3 officials. Because as you see when he walks in, number one, he's not as you mentioned, he didn't initiate the scuffle between the two. And to me, I hearken back to the 90s and the early 2000s. If that's an offense where you get thrown out, that can happen. But on the flip side, he knew he already had 1 tech, and you can't put yourself in that position where the officials are going to go to the video. And it was a terrible call, in my opinion. Play on. This is the playoffs. You want your best players on the floor. But I can see where the league is different than it was in the 90s.
But I wondered, Reg, about we've seen this with baseball. They don't want bench clearing brawls. They don't want any altercations. Granted, baseball players are together. I think there's a tight leash that they're running here, and maybe just the optics of those guys getting face to face with one another, and maybe the NBA, unless they haven't warned the players, but it felt like they're trying to be overly cautious with something like that. So I don't know if that played in.
I'll tell you what, Theodore, if Porzingis has a problem with Marcus Morris, hey, dude, I'll meet you at the pool after the game since we're staying in the same hotel. So all this, puffing out your chest and being tough, dude, I'm going to see you in 2 hours in the mess hall. So why do it on the court and jeopardize, your team's success or defeat when you can meet up with a dude a couple hours later, by the pool?
Luka goes for 42, but has 11 turnovers, and a lot of that is he really has to force the action. When you watch the Mavs an entire game, I come away with a different appreciation because it's like Iverson with the Sixers. You have to create offense every single night, and you see that with Luka. 11 turnovers. He called it a terrible game. It wasn't, but he was trying to do the best he could, and, he's going against the Clippers. What did you think of Luka's performance?
Now, remember, for the Mavericks, they play 5 out. They have no low post threat. So they're all surrounded on the three-point line, and it's all predicated on the dribble penetration of Luka. So when Hardaway and Curry and Porzingis, they do a lot of high screen and roll with Luka and Porzingis. When those guys are knocking down threes and then Luka's able to get all the way to the hole because you're guarding the threes, this Mavericks team is very difficult to beat. But because they don't have that low post threat, you're right, it puts so much pressure on Luka to, be the penetrator and make sure everyone else is fed. And at times it can be exhausting. And he's trying to force the issue. And I will say this, the length of the Clippers, again, I wish they would be a little bit better defensively, but the length of the Clippers, because these guys can play multiple positions and they've got to be able to make multiple plays defensively. And I think that's where the turnovers are coming from Luka, is because of the length of the Clippers are able to, absorb his penetration. And they're almost basically saying, okay, well, you can get your 30 or 40, but we're going to shut everyone else down. And I think we kind of saw that in game one.
Better series, Thunder Rockets, Blazers, Lakers.
Oh, I want to see both of them. The only reason why I will go with Blazer Lakers is because right now the headlining show is Dame Dollar. And his sidekick, CJ McCollum, playing, with an injured back is must-see TV. Now, for the Blazers, they can score with the best of them, and they've got two closers in the two guys I mentioned. Problem is, you can get whatever you want against them at the other end. They were very fortunate to even be in the playoffs because they didn't control their destiny. Karis LeVert controlled their destiny and missed that shot in that last game. So if he makes that, we're not even talking about it. And in my opinion, they just took advantage of a very young and inexperienced Memphis Grizzlies team. Cream Rose and those guys have been deep in the playoffs. They understand what playoff type basketball, even those were playing games, they understood in the moment. The Memphis Grizzlies and John Morant were probably just happy to be there and playing well and had a chance to win that game and didn't. But now you're going against LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Kyle Kuzma. Yes, they haven't shot the ball particularly well, but more experience, and you're going against two top 10, two top 5 players in AD and LeBron. So yes, you got Dame and CJ, and you got Biggs and Nurkic and Collins, and you got, look, Carmelo has revamped his career, but you can get anything you want against them. And that's the problem why everyone's saying the Blazers are going to beat the Lakers. Let's hold up on that for a little bit.
And also, Anthony Davis is making his playoff debut. He played a lot of meaningless games. Great player, meaningless games. Now they mean an awful lot. And it might help him that he is not at Staples or not on the road, that from the standpoint of a home court advantage for somebody else. He's in the bubble, and with the sterile environment, I don't know if that helps him or it at least doesn't hurt him. Because at Staples, the crowd is going to get, they're going to want you to be the best player on the floor. Not LeBron. AD has to be the best player on the floor. I wonder how he processes all this, having not been in this situation before.
Theodore, I'm going to say this. Anthony Davis has to be the best player in this series. Not LeBron, not Dame Dollar, not CJ McCollum. Anthony Davis, and even going forward, but particularly in this series, he has to dominate Nurkic and Zach Collins. He cannot let them off the hook. And so many bunny shots that he missed in those 8 seeding games, did not shoot the ball particularly well, wasn't aggressive enough. To me, 18 to 25 field goal attempts, he's got to get to the line 10 times. He should be averaging 30 plus versus the Blazers. Because again, defensively, this is not the Clippers. He should get whatever he wants. And if I'm LeBron and he's 26, 27, I've got to use these young legs. Get me to the promised land, young fella. And he's got to be the best player in this series.
We were wondering this earlier in the show. If I said you could have Luka or Kristaps Porzingis or Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Wow. I would probably go with Jaylen Brown and Tatum because they play both ways. Luka and Porzingis are fantastic offensively, and I know Porzingis is a great shot blocker, but to me, Tatum and Brown, and I think this is a coming out party for Jaylen Brown. I personally felt he should have been on the All-Star team this year. They went with Kemba and Tatum, and that's fine. They deserved it. But Brown is having a coming out party down in Orlando. And, he's really become almost their second best player behind Tatum. because of the knee injury to Kemba.
Yeah.
And Hayward, he got hurt last night with an ankle injury. So to me, Jaylen Brown is the second best player on that team. So I would probably go with those two guys from Boston, but that's no slight to Porzingis and Doncic.
He's Reggie Miller, the Hall of Famer, the Turner Sports analyst. He'll be back in the bubble on Saturday calling second-round playoff action. Is there still the knock on European players that they're soft, that you can be physical with them? Because I wondered with Luka, feels like the best way to guard him, like putting a body on him, being physical with him, even though he's a grown man at 20, but that was always the label back when you played. European players were soft. Are they still viewed as soft?
Absolutely not. And for those people that think that Luka is like that, you're talking about he's a grown man now. He was 13, 14, 15 playing professional basketball against grown men. So you're talking about a young boy who had to grow up quickly. So absolutely not. He's as tough as they come. And I think the mold, a lot of that was broken from Dirk and from Manu, Detlef Schrempf, who I played with. Those guys were so mentally tough and physically tough as well. So I think.
Well, they made fun of Dirk when he first got here. I remember he said that.
Oh, a 7-foot jump shooting. But if you look and evolve throughout his career, tough as nails, played hurt, could play through injury. No, Dirk was one of the toughest guys that I ever had to play against.
The Thunder and Rockets, I wonder what's at stake here for the Rockets, Reg. When, they went all in, gave up those draft picks. They got rid of Chris Paul. Harden and Paul didn't, coexist. Now you bring in Russell Westbrook. What's at stake here in this playoff?
Probably bragging rights. I told you so, Daryl Morey for Chris Paul.
But is D'Antoni's job at stake here, Reg? If they don't get to the Western Conference Finals, I get the feeling
could be
Mike D'Antoni.
Because I didn't think Alvin Gentry would be let go with all the injuries to Zion and what was going on with the Pelicans. I really do believe D'Antoni could be dead man walking if they don't get to the conference finals. But again, they're starting this series from everything I'm hearing without Russell Westbrook. Yeah. So you're not having your second best player on the floor. As great as James Harden is, and he's been fantastic even in the restart, he needs Westbrook to be effective in that dribble penetration, because when you're going to play 6'7" and shorter, which their starting lineup is, you've got to have dribble penetration. And Harden can get all the way to the cup. But what made them so successful is they had two guys that could do that, and that opened it up for Gordon, for Covington, for Rivers, those guys knocking down shots. So to only have one, and if you're the Thunder, you have plenty of guys that can cover James Harden. Not necessarily stop him, but try to wear him down. It's going to be very difficult, in my opinion, for them to get out of this series, depending on when Russell Westbrook comes back.
If you could have Ja Morant or Zion Williamson?
Ja Morant, right now. I know I'm probably going to get killed for this. Well, it depends. Am I a struggling organization? I just want to put people in the seats. I'm going to go with Zion. If I'm trying to win right now, I'm going to go with Ja Morant, because Ja Morant's going to give me 75 to 82 games during the regular season. I don't know how many games Zion is going to play, Theodore. He's got to get his body straight. And look, I don't want to kill the Pelicans, but to me, I think they're just doing him a disservice by saying he's okay at that weight, where clearly he is not. As soon as the lockdown happened or the suspension of play, I would have had a staff member with him that whole 4.5 months, working on his game and making sure he ate right. He is too big. So if you're asking me if I want to put people in the stands, and, I'm going to go with Zion, because that's what he's going to do. I don't know how many games he's going to play. Ja Morant he's going to be one of the top point guards in the next 3 years, maybe even sooner.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I said Ja Morant because there's uncertainty with Zion, and we know that he's in a race with his body, because you can only be so big for so long and be able to do what he's doing, whereas Ja Morant's going to get bigger and he's going to fill out. And he's
naturally.
Yeah. And so I said Ja Morant too, but I'm with you. If you're putting fans in the stands, you want Zion. Before I let you go, we talked about unwritten rules in baseball, when you can swing on a 3-0 pitch. Like in basketball, in the NBA, what is the unwritten rule? Let's say you're up 15 in the fourth quarter in the final 2 minutes. Are you allowed to take a three? Are you allowed to dunk or celebrate or anything like that?
Absolutely, because I'm sure role players are in there, and we always tell young players or whomever is playing in those 2 minutes, play your minutes. These guys are professionals. They're getting a paycheck every 1st and 15th. This is not college where you try to be politically correct. No, this guy that you're facing, he is getting a paycheck. Play your minutes. Now, some of the unwritten rules, if you're up double digits and the shot clock is running down and the game is almost over, then you don't want to take a three. Then you don't go the hole, because then I'm going to probably try to take you off the air. The game is over. Okay? So that's an unwritten rule. And that was kind of the issue Kobe and I had when that fight happened between us, which will be a different story. I'm not going anywhere. You go look at the footage. That's what kind of led to that little altercation between Kobe and I.
Wait. Explain that, though. Can you give me a little bit of the backstory on
Look,
that?
You're going to win the game. You're up double digits. So let's say there's 30 seconds left in the game, and it's a 24-second shot clock. What you're supposed to do is take the violation. Let the shot clock run down, so there's only 6 seconds left. I take the ball out 6 seconds, we go home. You don't try to jack up a three to get your stats or whatever.
I'm looking at it right now.
Was doing, and he and I were having words about that, and then that's what led to the fight. But that was Kobe being Kobe, and we just had a little disagreement.
He shot it right in your face.
He shot it. He didn't make it, but he shot it right in my face, and then I got in his face, and he got in my face, and then.
And you guys were buddies, weren't you? Weren't you off-season workout buddies?
We were early on in our career.
Oh, then he used you.
Yeah, this happened after the fight. Yes, early on. We did MTV shoots together, same agency.
Yeah.
I got raised though. I put him under my hey, I gave him looks.
Yeah.
He was all that for me. Come here, little fella.
I got Shaq moving the entire pile in this.
Shaq was picking up guys like with his fingertip, like this. I was like, yeah, that was it. See, I missed that. I missed.
Oh no,
anything.
You don't. No, you don't.
It's scrappy. See, look, Porzingis gets thrown out for looking at Marcus Morris crazy. Are you kidding me?
Oh, I know.
Come on, man.
I know.
Soft league.
I got Austin Crozier. He's
all scratched. Yeah, he got it bad. Austin got it bad. Austin got it bad. It was a good fight in Staples. The game was over, and we went at it. That's what was beautiful about it. Oh, I miss it.
Oh, I miss it. Ron Artest is trying to break it up.
You see no one going around Ron.
Oh man, and then just Shaq is just separating people. Where are you in there? Are you in the
middle? Kobe were on the scorer's table at the bottom. We're at the bottom. Oh, it's great.
I got Isaiah in there. Jermaine O'Neal. Phil Jackson's in there.
Yes. It was good.
You got Hall of Famers in there, man. And this is right at the end. There you are.
The game was over. We're supposed to be walking to our respective locker rooms and tunnels. And then he said something to me. I said something to me. We turned around. We locked eyes. And it was on.
Look at Austin Crozier's jersey is ripped. Kobe's being escorted. He wants a piece of somebody there. Oh, no, he's coming back for more. He wants. So do you ever discuss that after the fact? Did you and Kobe ever talk about that?
We didn't necessarily talk about the fight per se. We kind of kissed and made up. I think maybe my last year, which was 05, 06, we kind of, hey dog, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. It was kind of blown out. It was a little bit fake bro.
Yeah.
Like, I love Kobe because that dude's a competitor. And I like having fights with guys that are similar to me. And maybe that's why I got in it so many times with Jordan. I put Kobe in that same breath because I look at them and I see myself in the mirror.
But I still go back to the story where you said if you saw Jordan in a restaurant, you wouldn't know if you would either say something to him or punch him or not say anything, right?
Right. No, I would probably be cordial and say something. I mean, you have to.
You just say hi.
Hey, how you doing? Your airness. And keep it moving. And keep it moving.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice to see you, Black Jesus.
Yes.
Enjoy your meal. Hey, have fun. Hope the family's safe, and then we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Theodore. Love you, Danettes.
That's Reggie Aloysius Miller Jr. III.